The void of space was rarely still, but as the sleek transport shuttle sliced through its depths, a calmness prevailed. Ambassador Kael Nohr peered out the viewport, taking in the shimmering scarlet and azure spirals of the nebula Eternum. The scene was breathtaking, but Kael's heart was weighed down by the grim burden of their mission. The Federation teetered on the precipice of chaos, fractured by the escalating tensions between its members. Advanced planets led by Draconis Prime eyed the resource-rich colonies with infamous avarice, igniting a dangerous conflagration that threatened to consume everything. The scent of ozone filled the air as the shuttle descended towards Onyx Station, a massive asteroid outfitted with conference chambers and living quarters for this high-stakes diplomatic summit. Here, away from prying eyes and ears, representatives from the factions would negotiate, or so they claimed. Kael adjusted their cloak as a raven-haired aide named Lyra approached, eyes wide with determination. "Ambassador, the representatives are assembling," she said, her voice steady but tense. "There's a lot riding on this, sir." Kael nodded, their jaw set. "Lyra, has there been any communication from the Draconis delegation?" They knew too well that the Draconian representatives were known not just for sharp negotiation tactics, but also for less savory means of persuasion. "None yet, but reports suggest their journey was delayed. Still, I wouldn't be too optimistic," Lyra replied, her eyes darting nervously. "Don't worry," Kael reassured with a tight-lipped smile. "We'll manage something." Deep down, though, Kael sensed layers of intrigue and danger. Every moment wasted brought the Federation closer to a war that could rip the stars apart. As Kael strode toward the conference hall, determined to broker the peace that had eluded seasoned diplomats, they couldn't shake the feeling that this summit held more than mere diplomacy. Vague recollections of cryptic transmissions haunted Kael's thoughts, whispered threats mentioning a fracture in reality. Were these just attempts to menace and mislead, or was there a kernel of truth behind them? The path was set, and as Kael entered the chamber, they realized that their skills in diplomacy would soon be put to a test like no other. Not just for peace between worlds, but for the survival of an already fragile universe. The conference chamber buzzed with voices representing the 12 squabbling factions of the Federation. Kael took a moment to survey the room. It was a comprehensive collage of disparate beings and varied agendas. To the left, the Obsidian representatives hovered, their obsidian exoskeletons reflecting the fluorescent lights ominously. Nearby, the Alara contingent struck a mystifying air, their ethereal forms glimmering with each movement. Lyra stood by Kael's side, tablet in hand, ready to offer information or retrieve any details necessary. "The Draconians have arrived," she whispered. Her voice was laced with trepidation. True to form, the Draconian delegation entered with an air of superiority. At its head was Thuron Broth, a formidable figure with a reputation that combined shrewd intellect with a knack for deception. "Ambassador Nohr," Theron greeted, his voice smooth like silk, yet as sharp as an obsidian blade. "Theron," Kael returned, nodding. "We have much to discuss and precious little time. I propose we get started immediately." As the delegates settled, Kael initiated the proceedings. "Friends, allies, and those of neutral interests," Kael began, choosing their words carefully. "Today, we stand on the edge of an abyss, but together we can step back from the brink and craft a future of peace and prosperity." An animated discussion broke out, words translated through machines, languages spun around with urgency. But beneath the surface discussions of trade routes, territorial rights, and shared resources, Kael detected undercurrents of restlessness and hidden agendas. Theron spoke up, his voice cutting clear across the room. "Our planets are growing weary, Ambassador. The wealth of our advanced technology should not be squandered on endless councils and inferior negotiations. We need immediate results." But just as Kael prepared to address the points, a sudden shiver cascaded over their spine. It was a sensation almost alien, as though someone, or something, was probing the very air around them. Kael paused, masking the alarm on their face, but the moment passed as quickly as it had appeared. Once the session concluded for a break, Lyra whispered urgently, "Sir, you felt it too, didn't you? That disturbance?" Kael nodded slowly. "Yes, it was as if the whole room shifted. Keep an eye out, Lyra. We're uncovering more than we were briefed for." With growing certainty, Kael realized this mission was deeper than political tension. Something in the shadows brewed, a conspiracy laced among the stars, and the stakes had just become astronomically higher. Dinner aboard Onyx Station was a spectacle unto itself. The dining hall was a marvel of engineering and technology, with curved walls that could mimic the panoramic vistas of alien worlds to soothe and dazzle its guests. But as Kael and representatives began to gather, the tranquility was marred by an undercurrent of tension. Kael picked at the delicacies on their plate, another feast engineered to unite traditions across species. Yet their mind was elsewhere, absorbed in pondering the mystery of the peculiar presence they'd felt during the negotiations. Lyra sat beside them, her eyes scanning the room like a hawk, ever vigilant. It wasn't long before Theron sidled over, a playful smirk on his face. "Ambassador, enjoying your meal, I hope?" Kael resisted the urge to narrow their eyes. "It's satisfactory, Theron. I trust you're finding everything to your liking, too?" Kael replied cordially. "Oh, quite." He paused, letting silence stretch for a heartbeat too long. "But this summit, I fear, will not fulfill its promise. Unless, of course, certain parties are willing to bend more than others." Kael kept their expression neutral. "Every side must give a little for real peace to take hold. Surely you've realized that?" Before Theron could respond, a gentle ping signaled the incoming message on Kael's communicator. The urgent note was from Captain Dre Boren of the station's security. Kael excused themselves under the guise of important business and made their way towards the communicator station. As Lyra fell into step with Kael, they exchanged worried glances. "Captain Boren rarely reaches out with urgency," Lyra murmured. Kael nodded, tapping the console. The screen flickered to life, illuminating Captain Boren's rugged features. "Ambassador," Dre began, his tone deadly serious, "I've detected an unauthorized broadcast from the station's lower levels. It's using a frequency unknown to our systems." Kael's interest piqued. "Do you think it's connected to the presence we felt earlier?" Dre's eyes darkened. "Possibly. Whatever it is, security measures are being overridden locally. It's something advanced, someone who knows what they're doing." A sense of urgency overwhelmed Kael, and they made a swift decision. "Dre, monitor the signal. We're coming down to investigate. If there's a threat to this station or this summit, we need to eliminate it." Lyra's eyes shone with determination as she nodded sharply. "We'll get to the bottom of this," she said, her voice filled with resolve. As they made their way to the lower levels, Kael couldn't help but think that the very fabric of peace was fraying faster than anticipated. A spark from an unknown threat could ignite a wildfire of war, unless they acted decisively and fast. The corridors leading to Onyx Station's lower levels unfurled like a labyrinth of steel and energy, each step echoing ominously as Kael and Lyra quickened their pace. The weight of an unseen threat loomed over them as they descended deeper, the atmosphere becoming cooler and the corridors narrower. "Ambassador," Lyra started, glancing sideways, "what do you think we'll find down here?" "The signal's origin holds answers that we need, whether it's a saboteur, a spy, or something more sinister." "We must be prepared for anything," Kael replied, their voice steadier than their racing heart. They reached a dimly lit access point where Captain Dre Boren awaited them with a small contingent of station security. His rugged face bore the mark of sleepless hours, and his eyes told of vigilance not to be trifled with. "Ambassador, we managed to localize the signal. It's coming from an unused section of the station's storage facilities." Dre informed, nodding toward a nondescript door that shimmered slightly with the station's security field. Unexpectedly, the door seemed to vibrate with energy, as though emitting a pulse inaudible to ordinary ears. Kael raised a hand, signaling their team to stand ready. "Deactivate the field," Kael instructed, and a moment later the field dropped with a faint hum. Inside, the room was cavernous yet cluttered with machinery, control panels and ancient technology, some of which bore the markings of a bygone era. In the center, a console glowed, its interface dancing with alien characters both foreign and mesmerizing. Lyra, ever adept, moved to decipher the readout. This is not just any transmitter," she said, her voice tinged with awe. "It's a temporal comlink, keyed to coordinates that shouldn't exist." Kael shot her a look of concern. "Temporal? You mean this thing can send messages across time?" Dre cursed under his breath. "Whoever's using this has knowledge far beyond what we've encountered." As they recalibrated the readings, the pulsing frequency grew erratic. A distorted voice crackled through the static, barely comprehensible. Must not the fracture, reality, end? Kael's mind raced with possibilities. Someone or something was attempting to manipulate events around a pivotal space-time anomaly. But the message remained agonizingly incomplete, the pieces of the puzzle fleeting and fragmented. With the air of a puzzle unsolved but urgent, Kael turned to their team. We need to solve this mystery, secure the integrity of our reality, and ensure this summit doesn't fall to chaos because of it, they declared. Beneath the star-sprinkled expanse outside Onyx Station, Kael felt the ticking clock of uncertainty hasten. The stability of the Federation, and perhaps existence itself, was in peril, and the weight of the cosmos had never felt heavier upon their shoulders. The luminescent panels of the control room cast a ghostly glow, illuminating Kael's determined face as they leaned over the console dominated by enigmatic symbols. Lyra stood beside them, fingers flying over her portable decoder, while Captain Dre Boren coordinated with his security detail to ensure the area remained tightly secured. "How's it going, Lyra?" Kael asked, glancing at the constantly shifting code. "Almost there, Ambassador," she replied, sweat beading her brow as she decrypted line after line. "This isn't just a transmitter. It's encoded with layers of security. Whoever set this up didn't want it disturbed." Suddenly, the console emitted an audible chime, and a clearer, albeit eerily digital voice filled the room. "Time is an illusion, fractured. Preserve the continuum or all is lost." The voice carried an ethereal quality, as though inflating space-time itself. Kael exchanged a glance with Dre, their brows knit in contemplation. "That's a warning if I ever heard one," Dre commented, crossing his arms. "But what does it mean?" Lyra voiced the question on all their minds, eyes never leaving the screen. Kael detached the momentary fear from their mind and re-engaged their diplomatic prowess. "It might mean someone tampered with the timeline, possibly surrounding critical events during this summit. If these fractures are ignored, the consequences could devastate us all," Kael stated. "Imagine alternate timelines collapsing into ours. Chaos would reign." Brimming with possibilities, Kael thumped their fingers against the cold metal of the console, decisions swirling in their mind. They thought of summoning Theron Broth, the Draconian delegate, a keen tactician whose own interests may glean additional layers from this cosmic enigma. "Captain, we need representatives from the key factions here. Communicate carefully. We don't want this leaking out until we're certain of the threat," Kael directed. "We require minds and resources capable of complex understanding." Dre nodded briskly, stepping outside to dispatch the discreet summons. Back inside, Lyra continued her work, trying to track any originating point beyond this sector. Her discovery made her eyes widen with mixed emotions. "Kael, I think I've found where this signal leads. It's transmitting to a region we're all too familiar with, Zenthra's Verge." Zenthra's Verge, the very nexus where stars bent time, was perilous for travelers. It held ancient mysteries only whispered of in theoretical conversations. "It doesn't make sense," Lyra said, biting her lip in thought. "Why there unless they intend to manipulate?" "Time," Kael completed her sentence. "We need to move, Lyra. We must investigate, secure the temporal readings, and stop whoever's playing with forces beyond their control." With urgency hanging in the air, Kael steeled themselves for what lay ahead. Diplomacy would now take on a new dimension, one where reality itself was a stake on the table. The briefing room aboard Onyx Station was a stark contrast to the turmoil below, its walls cushioned with quiet, subtle elegance, devoid of decoration, save for the Federation's emblem. Seated around the gleaming conference table were representatives from key factions, each a crucial player in sustaining the fragile peace. Kael stood at the head of the table, Lyra to their right, and Theron Brath opposite, his piercing eyes vigilant yet inscrutable. Representatives from Alara and Obsidian sat nearby, their postures defensive, reflecting the underlying strain in the air. "Thank you for assembling on such short notice," Kael began, addressing the room. "We've uncovered a situation involving unauthorized temporal communication linked to Zenthra's Verge." "Temporal communication?" scoffed the Obsidian delegate, his smooth voice tinged with skepticism. "You claim someone is meddling with timelines? Preposterous." Kael remained resolute. "I understand your doubts. However, the evidence is compelling. We've intercepted transmissions indicating a potential fracture in our continuum, one that could untether us if not addressed. Theron leaned forward, a glint in his eye. Assuming you speak truth, Ambassador, who would dare such folly? It's a gamble few possess the audacity or foolishness to try. Lyra interjected, projecting the deciphered data onto the room's holodisplay. The signal coordinates to Zenthra's verge, a locus of precarious cosmic forces where theoretical alterations might indeed occur without immediate detection. A thoughtful silence engulfed the room as the ramifications seeped in. The Alara delegate, a translucent figure of serene composure, murmured in their sing-song cadence, "If the currents of time are disrupted, it would unravel destinies as threads plucked from a tapestry." Kael glanced around, feeling the urgency to unite these curious and wary minds. "We need to locate the source within Zenthra's verge and neutralize it. We must act swiftly to preserve the structural integrity of our reality. I implore your cooperation." After drawn-out consideration, Theron nodded, a rare concession about to form on his lips. "The Draconians have encountered such anomalies before. We'll provide what expertise we can." Relief flickered in Kael's heart, though he knew the hard part lay ahead. "We must assemble a team equipped for extraordinary challenges and journey to the verge. This is an undertaking requiring unified effort." Lyra stepped forward, her eyes bright with determination. "I'll accompany you, Ambassador. We're facing an enigma too great to be ignored, and I'm not missing it." With gravity tied by an unspoken accord, the representatives began coordinating efforts, pooling resources for the monumental task. Kael felt a fracture once threatening to tear them asunder, now acting as a point of convergence, drawing disparate worlds together against the looming shadow at their cosmic doorstep. Time is of the essence, Kael reminded themselves, as preparations for their voyage to Zenthra's verge began, a journey that would lead them to the very edges of scientific understanding and perhaps beyond. The heady hum of the ship's engines reverberated throughout the vessel as it nosed its way toward the mysterious Zenthra's verge, the pulse of Onyx Station, a fading heartbeat in the rear view. The selected team aboard the Falcon had united under a common banner to safeguard the stability of the universe from imperceptible threats. As the craft hurtled through the void, Kael stood in the cockpit, the panoramic view of the infinity sprawling before them. Lyra pored over consoles, fine-tuning sensors for any anomalous readings as they went. "Approaching Zenthra's verge," Lyra announced, addressing the varied assembly that included Theron, whose presence was both a boon and nerve-wracking, as well as a handful of scientific minds and security personnel from various factions, each contributing their expertise. Theron crossed the cockpit, eyes steady on the vibrant swirls of plasmatic storms that beset the verge. "An awe-inspiring yet treacherous segment of space," he muttered, transfixed. Kael took a breath, the air sharp in their lungs. "How we approach will define our success," they said, as much to themselves as to the crew. "We must isolate the signal's precise origin without disturbing the local cosmic balance." Theron nodded. "The verge is known to resonate with singularities, localized gateways across time. One wrong move could destabilize this sector, if not far beyond." As the Falcon entered the verge's influence, the very fabric of space seemed to shimmer coldly, light twisting into kaleidoscopic illusions. A vibration shuddered through the vessel as its sensors flared with input. Lyra engaged the stabilization matrix. "I've pinpointed the anomaly's source. It's tethered near the event horizon of a dormant black hole, but something seems to be keeping it contained, artificially neutral." The revelation was a dire one, tinged with questions. Kael walked the length of the bridge. "If the source is externally constrained," Kael surmised, "it's likely waiting for activation, possibly responding to specific triggers." "Which means," Theron interjected, his voice laced with both curiosity and dread, "if released prematurely, it could obliterate its surroundings in a titanic surge of energy." Their surmise necessitated urgency. "Then we must proceed with calculated precision," Kael affirmed. "We need to disarm the unknown threat while shielding the ship's integrity." With bated breath, those aboard the Falcon adjusted their trajectory, synchronized instruments in a finely orchestrated maneuver to uncover the anomaly. A task requiring deft skill and steady resolve, both of which would now catalyze an event greater than any had imagined. Kael focused, remembering the true stakes laid before them. It was more than mere survival. They were seeking not only to mend reality's rift, but to fashion hope from the unfathomable veil separating what was known and what lay at the precipice of understanding. As the ship closed the distance, the Verge's mystique heightened and time slid away, knotting together the destinies of those who dared to brave its enigmatic embrace. The heart of Zenthra's Verge pulsed with an ancient rhythm, its secrets nestled in the shadow of the dormant black hole. On board the Falcon, the crew prepared to face the anomaly, an enigmatic force that might hold the power to unravel time itself. "Brace yourselves for a bumpy ride," Lyra quipped, deft fingers flying over holographic interfaces as turbulence from the cosmic currents rocked the ship. Kael, steadying themselves at the helm, steeled their thoughts. "Stay focused, everyone. We're entering the eye of the storm." As the anomaly came into clearer view, it appeared as a brilliant lattice of interlocking energies, a patchwork of light and shadow swirling with intent. Instruments aboard the Falcon detected its inscrutable mechanisms, an intricate array of interlinked space-time matrices. "It's like nothing I've ever seen," Theron murmured, awe momentarily eclipsing his guarded demeanor. The design appears both mechanical and organic, an architecture of cosmic complexity. Despite the enormity of the situation, Kael maintained their composure. "Let's draw close enough to conduct a full-spectrum scan. We need to understand the nature of this creation and why it interfaces with a black hole." Connected to the Verge's swirling abyss were conduits constructed from a strange amalgamation of crystalline structures and unknown alloys. Each one seemed to vibrate in unison, resonating with a silent, purposeful frequency. Lyra gasped softly as she deciphered a portion of the data. "Ambassador, these conduits aren't just passive. They're transmitting power between the anomaly and the black hole. It's feeding the singularity, keeping it contained." Realization surged through the cockpit like an electric current. Then someone is using the black hole like a battery, holding back tremendous power. Kael hypothesized, the boldness of such a concept breathtaking. Theron's eyes narrowed, assessing the dire potential. Whoever engineered this must have intended to utilize its vast energy for a purpose, possibly related to the integrity of time itself. Lyra interjected, her expression one of resolve. "The risk is inalterable if these conduits fail or are disrupted. We need to stabilize the anomaly, recalibrate its connections, ensuring the temporal flow remains undistorted." "Right," Kael agreed, marshalling their strategy as they plotted the necessary course of action. "We must delicately tune the anomaly's framework, aligning with its natural cycle while safeguarding it from collapse." With trepidation yet determination guiding them, the crew descended upon the anomaly, deploying intricate tools and synchronizing their efforts with meticulous precision. The Falcon's crew, fated by both circumstance and celestials, became bastions of the continuum. As surrounding energies crescendoed to crescendo, reality tasted uncertain yet hopeful. A fusion of chaos and harmony united by a singular mission, driven by force of will and the unwavering belief that an accord with the stars was possible. The Falcon danced on the verge of time's edge, a fragile envoy navigating an even more delicate operation. The anomaly awaited their intervention like an enigmatic maestro extending its hand for collaboration. Kael and the assembled crew worked like a well-practiced orchestra, their movements synchronized with the anomaly's harmonic pulse. Each sentient aboard had their role in the symphony, connecting, stabilizing, recalibrating the conduit network that threatened the cosmic balance. A reading from the sensors alerted Lyra. "The energy flux is stabilizing around the anomaly. We're close to achieving synchronization." "Steady as she goes," Kael murmured, their voice a calming center amid the electrical storm. "Every adjustment counts. Timing is critical." Residual energy from the black hole induced fluctuations within the conduit fields, weaving unpredictability into their maneuvers. Focus and tenacity were paramount as Kael navigated the delicate balance, each movement more intricate than the last. Theron, stationed at the auxiliary control console, provided crucial support, his penetrating insights born from draconian intuition translating into decisive action. "Adjust vector at 15 degrees starboard," he recommended, recalculating to navigate the gravitational eddies. "We need resonance here." With sweat glistening on their brow, Kael absorbed the directives. The convergence of diverse skills and perspectives kindled unexpected ingenuity, a testament to the fragile alliance of beings united in adversity. As Lyra activated the tertiary stabilizers, the console trembled, light flashing through the corridor like a living heartbeat. "It's working. We're harnessing the field correctly." At that moment, a spectral oscillation coursed through the anomaly, a rippling aftermath of their precise orchestration. The conduits, channeling universes of latent power, reverberated with newfound rhythm. Kael exhaled, releasing tension they'd scarcely noticed holding. "We're synchronizing effectively," they confirmed. Yet amidst the victory, sobering clarity took root. All action was a paradigm of chance, a hope that in the cosmic waltz they struck not discord but resolution. The pulse quivered, an echo resonating back through the ship's frameworks, amplified and steadfast, evidence that emerging stability was within sight. But within this victory, an unexpected twist awaited, an inference not just of cosmic forces, yet of vile intention. Lyra leaned closer over her screen, deciphering once-forgotten glyphs of a message embedded deep within the anomaly's ethereal scripts. Maps and schematics bared before them, discovery crackling through the air. "It's an inscription from an unknown entity," she whispered, her voice barely audible yet weighty with implications. Warnings, but also coordinates, mapping a convergence of timelines. Amidst brokering understanding and sustaining momentum, the crew grasped burgeoning truth. There lay another force, engineering this anomaly, harnessing time's flow for a purpose hidden behind design. Kael understood more than ever. Their mission was both to save and to uncover, each breakthrough unraveling the embedded nuance of their expedition. "Let's discern what this means for the Accord. Our future may depend on it." Gravitas wrapped around them, tightening with expectancy as balance realigned toward fate, inching ever forth to the final chapter's revelation. The Falcon hovered at the precipice of victory and revelation, the crew ensconced in both the relief of their successful synchronization and the looming questions that emerged from the anomaly's depths. The coordinates inscribed within the system weren't mere warnings. They were a blueprint for an impending convergence, one orchestrated by design yet shrouded in enigma. "So these coordinates plot a course," Theron mused aloud, reviewing the decoded data on his console. "They indicate a point of intersection where timelines merge. But why?" Kael stood at the center of the crew, drawing strength from their unity. Perhaps it's a rendezvous, a nexus where paths align, possibly prepared by another intelligence anticipating our actions. The notion was unsettling yet compelling, tugging at cosmic strings unfurled by hands unseen. "We must seek this juncture," Kael continued, "and uncover what awaits." Lyra nodded, her resolve clear-lit with purpose. "Coordinates logged and plotted, Ambassador. We're ready to pursue this mystery wherever it leads." The Falcon departed the anomaly's embrace, navigating through the volatile beauty of Zenthra's verge. The star-speckled tapestry of space sprawled before them, a siren song leading towards the convergence point. As they neared the destination, a singular vision emerged, a construct suspended in the void, an obelisk of ethereal architecture reflecting every dimension. It seemed ancient yet timeless, built from light and substance, both material and conceptual. Kael held their breath, awestruck by the sight. It's a conduit, a gateway between realities, they deduced, realizing the profound implications. And there, Lyra pointed, excitement and curiosity dancing in her eyes. Amidst the structure, a singular core, pulsating with life. Within the core resided an intelligence, a sentience suggesting both familiarity and alien nature. It was as though the universe watched and waited, aware and involved, imbued with the essence of those who once communed with its echoes. Theron studied the tableau with rare reverence. Heralds of existence they might be, or architects, safeguarding temporal pathways. Kael approached the helm's interface, opening a channel. "Let's attempt contact. We must understand whether what we've done is in alignment with their intentions." A melodic resonance filled the ship, resounding from the core and enveloping them in harmonious splendor. Words and thoughts coalesced into meaning, a symphony of comprehension bridging differences and distances. "You have safeguarded the streams of existence," the intelligence communicated, ethereal voice echoing within as much as without. "Preserve the continuum, a task few have undertaken with such balance." Astounded by the reception, Kael spoke, heart full. We sought not only to protect, but to learn, to join threads of life and understanding. Unity through diversity embodies the stellar accord, the entity conveyed, its timeless presence a continuum of truth. Guardians you have become, stewards among the stars. Choose wisely and the path unites. The transmission ended, leaving the crew in contemplative silence, a knowledge profound yet enveloped in infinite possibility. As the Falcon turned to navigate home, hearts lifted amid the cosmos. Kael and their companions discovered an ember of wisdom. The journey had carved purpose through adversity and mystery, uniting worlds through understanding, tentatively tethered in stellar harmony. The stellar accord wasn't merely an ending but a beginning, its echoes bound in the shared hopes and dreams of all, resonating anew through endless tomorrow.